Hey, friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is my buddy Tim Carroll. He's going to tell you a story about smoking left-handed cigarettes with Willie Nelson.
I got high with Willie on his bus. Well, we were opening for Willie for a few dates, like 4 dates in a row down in Florida and Georgia, I think. I got so impressed with Willie's guitar playing that I hadn't realized quite how courageous and strong he is. But each night, it's like we'd be done playing and we'd be in the back room, like eating whatever food they had out or something. And there'd be like some really bad speaker blasting the music from the stage right here in my head. And they would have Willie loudest in the mix because, he's Willie. And so I'd be sitting there, like eating and just hearing this thing. And at some point, I'm realizing I'm listening to just him really. And what a courageous guy he is. Like he'll go far out on a limb. And it's just like, he'll just figure out a way to get out of it, And so he's like fearless guitar player and very creative and very strong, kind of undervalued as a guitar player. But anyway, that's about his playing. But as far as meeting him, Willie seems to be a really down-to-earth person, and but also real smart. Like he understands what's going on right around him. So when he walks into a room, he seems to just know that everybody's going to want to meet him. And so he gets it out of he comes over to you. He doesn't wait. You don't have to go kiss the ring and everything. No, before you have a chance to do that, he'll come over to you and your friends and hang out with you for a minute, a couple minutes. And he doesn't do it in a big glad-handing way. Hi, I'm Willie Nelson. He just kind of walks over there with his kind of, maybe with his thumbs on his pockets and kind of just like hangs out with you like he's just one of you, So I remember him doing that, like when we were before the show, and he got off his bus and he came into the room, and there were 30 people, whatever, in the room. But at one point, he just walked straight over to me and whoever I was talking to, and he just hung with us for a couple minutes, So there was that. But then the driver, his bus driver, maybe had a crush on my wife or whatever. But he kept trying to like introduce her to Willie and so forth, and like kind of be the conduit to you get to meet Willie, And I think he got us on the bus at one point, and we felt out of place, like we shouldn't be on Willie's bus. And he was like, "Yeah, he'll be here in a minute," and all that. And then, so I feel like that maybe happened a couple of times over the 4 days or whatever. But at one point, I'm on the bus with Willie and my wife and his wife, and I think there were only about 4 of us, maybe 5 people. And the driver had asked me if I had pot or if I needed pot, and I said, I'm about out. And so we're sitting there with Willie, and he goes, how are you fixed for marijuana? That's what he says to me. And he's in front of this big bunch of pot on a table, and I go, well, tell you the truth, I'm down to my last couple of buds. And he sticks a bunch of pot, and by the way, I guess we're smoking by this time, like he's passing around some kind of vape pen or something, and we're smoking pot, with Willie on his bus, and he puts some in a bag, probably like 1/4 of an ounce or something like that, and he just hands it to me, and I felt like I should pay him for it, but then I didn't want to for 2 reasons. One, that would make it an illegal transaction, and number 2, I sort of think he's really well off. I think, And so between those 2 things, I just thanked him. I didn't feel like he wanted me to give him money for it. But frickin' Willie gave me a bag of pot, and I got stoned with him, for about an hour or something, Yeah, I remember getting really high. Yeah, he had good stuff. Yeah, and but he was super low key the whole time. Like he's just not a real show off or anything. He's just like real quiet and just like real normal. And right during that time when we were opening for him is when his bass player died. His name was B something or other, and he'd been with him for a long time. And somewhere right in there, his bass player died. And so he got a new bass player. And I think we were like on the guy I think we were opening for them, perhaps on this guy's first gig. And so he came in and he kind of nailed everything, I think he probably studied it pretty hard. But the next day, I heard somehow that they were going to rehearse on stage. It's like we were just killing a bunch of hours. And I heard that those guys were going to rehearse for a while because of the new bass player. And so I was like, man, I'm going down there. And I stood on the side, and I was right behind Bobby. And I watched them for like 2 hours while they just ran through like everything. They were just trying to make sure that the bass player was ready for everything. And
Willie was playing with them?
Yes. It felt like I was watching Louis Armstrong rehearse or something like that. You know, it was like, wow, this is a heavy cat, and I'm getting to just see him rehearse. Like, this isn't a show, you know. But I do remember sitting with Paul English, who was he had had a stroke by that point and was only playing a little bit. They had another drummer, I think, and then Paul would play a little bit, if I'm remembering correctly. But Paul too was like just kind and gentle and quiet and just like real nice and real friendly. And he didn't make me feel at all awkward. Oh, what I was going to say, or speaking of awkward, what I was going to add to that was being in Willie's presence was very intimidating, because no matter how low key he is, and thank God he is, or you'd really be freaked out to hang out with him. But when you hang out with him, it's so weird, because you're like, what do you say to a guy that probably knows every president, you know, for the last, I don't know how many years? He's probably met the king of every country. He knows every Hollywood star. He knows every athlete. He knows everybody, no matter what level of fame they're at. And it was just hard to know what you should say, you know, other than to be yourself. And kind of not, you know, you don't have to say anything. You know, if I was hanging out with you, I wouldn't have to say anything, or I would. You know,
That's why we get along.
Yeah.
If you'd like to hear more Willie Nelson stories, click on the playlist in the upper right-hand corner of your screen and tell me down below what your favorite Willie song is, and I'll see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.